Welcome back. My name is Ron, and today I'm going to be talking to you about if you should care about your credit score. Now, this is a little complex question because I've been on both sides of the fence with this, and so let me answer that question real quick. Yes and no. It depends. So, the credit score, as I've outlined in another video, the history on the credit score, is a number allocated to you by the banking and financial systems. It's managed mainly by the big three: Experian, TransUnion, and I'm trying to remember what the last one is. I don't even think about them all that much. Um, I don't remember. Doesn't really matter. I'm sure you can look them up. But, so when I was 20 years old, I was handed $20,000 in credit. Just handed $20,000 in credit. I didn't touch them. I knew enough at that point to know that it's not free money. And what's a 18-year-old kid gonna do with $20,000 in credit? Well, nothing for a couple years, and then a couple years later, I started using the cards for the very first time, and then it just kind of like spiraled out of control. It's like, what does a 18-year-old kid or 20-year-old kid do with $20,000 in credit? Well, he ruins it, of course, because he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. I sure didn't. And so I made every mistake in the book as far as that was concerned. And before I realized it, I was paying minimums just to keep them afloat. And I wasn't paying them down. Even at the time, I don't think I was even able to pay them down. Well, I'm sure I was able to, but I didn't understand anything at the time. And then the first time something came along, like a job loss, everything just fell apart. And it haunted me. It still a little bit does, but for years and years to come, it made things very difficult in some regards. So, if you have yet to mess up your credit, I would suggest you keep it as good as you can. Do not take out extra, cards or loans that you do not need, and make sure you set up automatic deduction so that way you miss your minimum payments. And go ahead and watch my video on how to get out of debt, because the sooner you pay those cards off, the better off you're going to be. Now, if you have already messed it up, hey, it happens, I sure did, then there's two things you can do depending on your situation. First off, you can start paying these things off. Yeah, if they're in collections or whatever at this point, or if they haven't gotten there yet, you can set up payment plans, even negotiate with collectors in general, and as each one is knocked off the list, it's going to significantly raise your credit score. And the credit score is somewhat important. I mean, it's in so many aspects of life now that, if you go for an apartment, it's a factor. If you go for auto insurance, it's a factor, unless you live in a state that has outlawed that practice, which unfortunately not all of them have yet outlawed the practice. I sure hope they do, because it's ridiculous. Loans, of course, it affects that. Car, auto loans, mortgages, all this stuff affects it. And then on the other side, though, what if you have so much debt that you don't even know what to do with it? Maybe you had a foreclosure, and it's just mountain. It's just huge. It seems like it's unbelievable. Well, you got two options at this point. First off, you can declare bankruptcy, and you enter a 7-year period where credit will pretty much not touch you. However, they did change the bankruptcy law some years ago that made it much more difficult to actually get your debt wiped out. Guess who lobbied for that one? Yeah, you guessed it, of course. It's the credit agencies, the financial banks, all this stuff. They lobbied to get the law changed so that you can't get out of the debt. So you can still get it restructured, and in some cases get it completely wiped out. If that's an option that you want to explore, then definitely go talk to a lawyer, bankruptcy lawyer, get a free consultation, and see what they can offer you as far as which way it'll likely go, whether it's going to be debt consolidation or straight wiping out, which they did make it harder to get. And the other one is nothing. Yeah, that's another option. If your debt is so big and you do not want to file for bankruptcy for whatever reason, then do nothing. And I say that because once your credit score tanks, it tanks. Yes, it's going to make things a little bit more difficult in some regards. Yes, it'll make getting loans difficult or even impossible in some instances, and it will affect like how much you're going to have to put down on vehicles, how much you're going to have to put down on like deposits on apartments, all sorts of stuff. But if you cannot deal with the huge amount of debt and you don't want to declare bankruptcy, then the hell with it. I mean, let it go. I ended up doing this at one time in my life. I just let it go. It's like it was so large that I didn't know how to handle it, and I didn't want to declare bankruptcy. I'm not sure exactly why, but maybe it was a stigma attached to it. But items will start dropping off your credit report after 7 years, so you can outlast it. Now they're going to be blasting your phone, ringing all the time, all hours of the day from weird numbers, even numbers that may seem like they're coming from next door because they use like these ghost numbers. Yet they'd be calling from Florida, it looks like they're calling from a number like down the street if you live in like Vermont. I mean, they got some shady practices, and then they're gonna basically threaten you in every way you can imagine. Collection agencies are not enjoyable to deal with in any regard. Unless you like want to pay them, then they're like become a lot more easy to deal with because they just want to get paid. And collection agencies just buy the debt for pennies on the dollar because the banks have written it off and got tax breaks on it. So they always get their money one way or another, whether it's through a tax break or getting it from you directly. And they're going to basically harass you for years to come. And in some instances, they will sue you. And if they sue you, then you're going to lose. I mean, I can guarantee you on that one. And yeah, I was sued like some years ago, and it wasn't for much, but it was kind of a shocker to me. Once they sue you, they actually reset the clock. It's not 7 years now, it's actually a new 12 years. And then they have option to all those legal powers of the court, including wage garnishment, going into your bank accounts and taking the money out directly. Even in some extreme cases, they can seize property. So you can outlast them, technically, as long as you're not sued. If they sue you, they sue you. You're just going to have to deal with it. Most of them aren't going to do this, though. There are a few exceptions. J.P. Morgan Chase, for instance, is notorious for this kind of stuff. I saw many people I knew get sued by them, and they always seem to be first. Discover Card also does that kind of stuff. And, but, if it happens, it happens. It's not the end of the world. If you do get sued, then just use cash, use your debit card. There is a law that states that they cannot take anything over $130 in your bank account. So if you know that ahead of time and you are being sued and they don't have any type of like garnishment in action, that's the way you can actually delay the process. But they have the power of the court now, so you're gonna have to deal with it. But overall, yes, you should care about your credit score, mainly if you have not messed it up much, or you can get it back easily. If you've messed it up big time, and you can either do bankruptcy and get some kind of debt consolidation, which is most likely the way it's going to go, or you can just start dodging the calls, the endless calls from creditors if it's too large. And so I'd say it really depends on which ballpark you're in as far as which place you're in on this journey. There's several different places to determine whether or not you care about credit scores or should care about them. And when the time comes that you back up on your feet and this whatever mess is behind you, then try to do better next time. It shouldn't be like this, but the financial institutions have implemented this score, and basically it's permeated so much of our lives that it's pretty much almost impossible to get away from nowadays. So care about it if you care about it, and if you don't care about it, just take steps to protect yourself and do better next time. So if you like the content I'm creating, go ahead and subscribe down below and hit the bell notification, and that way you'll be updated daily on the content I'm producing. Covering everything on this channel that has to do with your personal well-being. Mostly it's financial. However, I will be getting into more of the core issues that do affect your financials as well. Such as poverty mindsets, how you feel about yourself, limiting beliefs, all this stuff is really important. And so, you can't have a bright future if you're holding on to the baggage of the past. It just doesn't work that way. So we're going to cover all that stuff on this channel. And if you want anything specific, before I get to it, go ahead and comment down below what video type or what video you'd like me to cover on a specific topic, and I will go ahead and get that made for you. We've already had a couple requests on this channel already, and I have produced them. So until next time, have a wonderful day.